My name is Katie Sheridan, and I've been living in I moved to Albuquerque in 2005. Before that, I lived in Rio Rancho. Gosh, it's hard to, I love it. I love the sunlight. I love the spacious skies. It was a place like a lot of other people I was sort of drawn to. But of course I came here because my husband's job moved us here. And so.
How long have we been married?
Have we been married?
Yes.
Since 1972.
So
which
that's
is 40 years coming up.
39 years. Oh yeah,
40
39
years in
years.
November.
Right.
40 years in this coming November.
Yeah, we're both retired, and I have taught. I was executive director of the United Cerebral Palsy Center in Macon, Georgia, for a number of years. And what did you do?
I taught at the university for 20 years, and was a Unitarian Universalist minister for 8 years. Now retired.
I have been a voter all my life. In 1960, in the Catholic school where I went in Georgia, we had mock elections. You know, I always enjoyed kind of not running with the pack, so Richard Nixon got my vote. So it's my voice. It's the way I get to make an impact, or one of the ways I get to make an impact on the direction my country goes. I really wanted to participate in this one, but it was really rainy day, one of our rare rainy days, but it was windy and kind of an uncomfortable day to be outside. And so in the latter part of the day, I decided I really had to get over there to vote. So I walked over to my polling place to vote, and I knew I had to have an ID, so I took my voter card. So I went over there, and I handed them my ID card, and they said I couldn't vote. So she called somebody over, and he said I could vote, but I had to have a photo ID. And they said, "Do you have a photo ID?" And I said, "Well, yes, I have a photo ID, and then they asked me if I wanted to go home and get it. And I said, "No, I don't want to go home and get it." I walked over here in the rain, and I don't want to go home and get it. This ought to work. And so they said, well, I could vote provisionally. So they gave me a ballot and the envelopes and all the rigmarole that goes with a provisional ballot. And then they told me I would have to go to the city clerk's office within the next 10 days in order to have my ballot, authorized or certified or something like that. And by then I was so annoyed. And when I left there, I was just totally annoyed with the whole process, because I think my voter ID that they gave me in 2008 ought to be enough. And so I didn't go to the city clerk's office to vote. I mean, I didn't go through that extra hurdle to vote, because I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just foolish. I think this law is just going to make it even more disgraceful, because people that want to vote will not be, will just throw up their hands and not be able to. And some of them, it'll cost them a lot of money to get the documents that they need in order to vote. And I've gotten curious about voter fraud. I figured this must have something to do with voter fraud. And I found online through the Republican Lawyers Association that there are 3 incidences of voter fraud in this state. And it seemed like, if I remember correctly, all 3 of them were voter officials that committed the fraud. That means to me that really it's not a problem. And we'd be fools to fall for this